I'm going to call this meeting to order. Joe, will you please call the roll?
Mr. Livingston?
Here.
Ms. Giuliani?
Here.
Mr. Tolmer?
Here.
Ms. Belliver?
Here.
Ms. Cimaroli?
Here.
And I'm Joe Coward.
Thank you. Before we start with public comments, I've got a statement to read. As the Planning Commission starts a new year, we will soon have another tool in the toolbox, a newly updated comprehensive plan for the borough of Bridgeville. This plan is mandated by the Pennsylvania Municipalities Planning Code. The borough hired Mackin Engineering to assist and complete the comp plan, and after nearly 2-year process of public listening sessions, meetings with local businesses, and numerous steering committee meetings, and a 45-day public review and comment period, we are nearing the finalization. The comp plan is a planning tool, a roadmap for the Planning Commission and the Borough Council. It will be used to address issues that the borough faces as we plan for the future of Bridgeville. The Planning Commission and the Council will adapt the plan to the changing conditions of Bridgeville as time passes. But the plan is a good starting point for continuing to make Bridgeville better. Drawings in the comp plan are meant as visual aids, representations of what could be possible. They do not reflect a current commitment to any engineering or development plans. Traffic issues in Bridgeville are complicated and have been a challenge for decades and will probably continue to be with us for the foreseeable future. It will take more time in planning, public feedback, and working with stakeholders like Allegheny County, PennDOT, and numerous other entities to help address the traffic issue. The comp plan and recently completed active transportation plan will assist with dealing with some of the traffic issues. I would like to thank the Planning Commission members, Borough Council members, Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee members, community members, business owners that all participated in the process of creating Bridgeville's updated comp plan. End of statement. Public comments. Visitors, do we have any? Pat, Mr. de Blasio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This tool of a comprehensive plan does not, in my humble opinion, put Bridgeville on the best road to its future. I believe that the people at Mackin Engineering are very well-meaning and that they are following the current standards for comprehensive plans. No question in my mind, these are good, sharp people. They know what they're doing. I would point out that years ago, decades ago, urban planning and zoning itself came from the idea of placing different uses in different zones. Bridgeville has been a mixed-use community since its inception. For decades, we followed the advice of urban planners and set up separate zones for residential and businesses. I can remember the heated infighting in this community as we fought on whether or not McLaughlin Run Road should allow so-and-so to come in and put a business there, because it's supposed to be residential. Conversely, should it be business? These issues arose because we went down a road that was, at that time, the standard throughout this entire country. I'll bet the standard throughout the entire world. You do not mix commercial and residential. Now, a little bit has changed. We were at the forefront of that change in having mixed-use areas. I'm not bringing this up to speak only on the issue of zoning and mixed use. That's just but one item. The urban planning and Mackin and the process here is, again, coming up with the best ideas that they have. But those cookie cutter ideas, those tools that they've come up with, in my humble opinion, put us in a wrong road. It sets us up. This comprehensive plan sets us up to create a battle between pedestrians and vehicles. I walk and I drive, and I want both. I want a community that helps me have both. This plan, you read it, and I provided I was respondent number 1, provided at the public comments. You can feel it in the document. It abandons the idea of requiring parking, which, by the way, I agree with much of the decrease in the amount of parking. I've advocated it for my entire career. Okay, we do not need these stringent parking regulations, but the plan makes no comprehensive approach to where we're going to put vehicles. The plan makes no comprehensive approach. The next round of this has got that we're going to do a parking study, I understand. Okay? That might be an idea here, to do a parking study. I push back. That's not what we need. We need a comprehensive plan that addresses both the vehicular component of our community and the pedestrian walkable piece of our community. It has to allow for both. This plan does not. This plan creates a war between those two groups, between those two necessities for our town. Please. I recognize where this is. I'm very practical here, okay? I mean, even my most trivial comment about there are 2 bus lines didn't make it, didn't necessarily resonate. Please think about it, because it is a roadmap, and it is a map to a conflict, and to further conflict and further divisiveness in our community. No, not further, because we're not divided. We all believe in both. Tell me which one of you believes that we can have a community without vehicles. Anybody here believe that? The community can survive without cars or without vehicles? I'm not seeing anybody. And I certainly don't think we can survive without the walkability that we need. That's what makes Bridgeville, Bridgeville. So, given that, I would ask you to please take a look at my comments. And, I'd appreciate it if I'm wrong, tell me why. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Bob?
Hi.
Brian?
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. I essentially would like to make the same suggestion to you that Pat did. There are certain features in your updating plan that I think should be reevaluated. One of them, the primary one is, we have, as you know, a 3/4 of a mile line of cars that customarily are stacked in Collier Township from about the Great Southern Shopping Center to Station Street in the morning, late afternoon, early evening. In the other direction, in South Fayette, there's the same stacking single lane a half a mile from the Churchill Street Bridge up in that direction. And primarily, I'm doing this backwards, but primarily there's 20,000 cars a day, as we all know, going up and down Washington Avenue. But there should be 40,000 cars a day going up and down Washington Avenue, primarily because of the increases in the population, and especially Collier and South Fayette Township. I got the specifics, I got the numbers. Last week, I think it's approximately 30,000, I'm not sure. But what I wanted to show you, what's happening is, this is Washington Pike, okay? And I didn't show you this the other night at the plant, at the council meeting, but there are cars, for example, heading south on Washington Pike, and they get to Tom's Run Road to avoid the Bridgeville traffic congestion problem. They take a right on Tom's, many of them take a left on Presley, come down to Washington Avenue, right, and then left on Bar Hill Road. Many of them go Tom's Run Road, and when they get to the Presto Saigon Road, they continue straight till they get to where that big wholesale store is. Then they hang a left on Victoria, back out on the new Route 50 and head further south on Washington Pike. And that happens in both directions. There's I guess that it was about 20,000 people a day doing this. I think the statistics that Dr. Orler gave me suggests it's probably about 15,000 or maybe less. But the point I'm trying to illustrate to you is we've had a traffic congestion problem here for 20 years. Part of it was the fault of the Bridgeville officials, because our guys never wanted to accept the advice of 6 different city planning people that suggested the two-way couple using Shady Avenue. And the other part of it was, ever since I-79 was built and the Bridgeville exit, 75% of the consumer motorists that used to drive through the Upper St. Clair and Mount Lebanon business districts switched to going to the Bridgeville exit to go to and from Pittsburgh every day. The number of businesses lost in those 2 business districts on Route 19 were countless. The Southfields Village Mall was sold, and PennDOT essentially, not PennDOT, but those 2 communities had the political influence to get PennDOT to spend $75 million widening half a dozen, not half a dozen, 12 roads leading to their business districts. And they also got the mass transit system built from downtown Pittsburgh through all those communities to the east entrance of the Southfields Village Mall. They also got a $20 million 7-story parking garage built at the east entrance of the mall. So there were 2 enormous factors that were preventing the traffic congestion problem that was ours from being resolved. Okay, but you got to do something about it. And I think your plan, I showed this, most of you have seen this, I showed it to you the other
That's
day.
just a representation. There's no engineering, there's no...
That's very true, except you need one. You can't.
Yeah,
So-
when the time comes, when there's a potential for development, then we'll address that issue.
Well, that's good, but I want to, where's the thing that I just gave you?
Bob, we've got a pretty full agenda tonight, so if you could just get to the point.
Just give you 60 more seconds. I just want to show you one thing. Mike has copies. I can give you this, but I want to mention something to you. I want you guys to see in here. In here are the 6 opinions from the 6 city planners.
Well, one of your planners is Macklin.
That's exactly right.
So they've actually changed their mind. Can people change their mind?
They made a mistake.
Okay.
Nothing, matter of fact, the traffic congestion with the population increase has increased the problem. I tend to think that many of you influenced Mac in the wrong direction. But I'll tell you what, these are the actual comments, the quotes taken from the reports of these 6 Trip City planning people that all recommended the two-way couple. Your plan has got to include extending the 4 lanes of Washington Pike, Barber Road through the Bridgeville, or we're going to be hurting from an economic standpoint. Anyway, hey, thanks for allowing me to talk. Please read some of this data carefully.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, now, thank you.
Okay, moving on. New business. Oh, wait a minute, adoption of minutes. Joe submitted the minutes to the planning commission for review. Anybody?
I'll make a motion to adopt these minutes.
Okay, we got a motion to adopt.
A second.
And Justina, second. Any further comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay. New business. Calroof Roofing and Sheet Metal Land Development Plan. Proposed new construction at 372 Commercial Street, parcel number 255-C-250, zoned industrial, for a building that would include a 7,500 square foot warehouse and a 2,500 square foot office with site improvements, including new concrete and asphalt paving, a detention pond to manage stormwater on site. The plan has been reviewed by Allegheny County Economic Development, and they had no comments. The borough engineer has reviewed the plan, provided multiple recommendations that will ensure the development is in compliance with the borough's zone and SALO regulations. Discussion and request for planning commission recommendations. Consider action to recommend the site plan approval with or without conditions to the borough council. So,
Sure, the applicant is on the Zoom call from Calroof. They're based in Ohio, so it was easier for them to participate virtually. Top left-hand corner is Sean Windrow. He's with the LSSC, that's the borough's engineering firm that completed the plan reviews. Sean's plan review letters are within your packet. Sean's been working with Nick and the folks over there at Calroof, getting the plan into compliance with our, Saldo is the subdivision and land development ordinance, and our new compliance to the zoning ordinance. So before we get too far, Sean, if you could you just summarize your plan reviews and where we are as of now?
Sure, thanks, Joe. We do have, fourth review was actually issued today. I'm not sure that that's in your packet. The third review was issued previously. With the fourth review, we do only have a handful of remaining comments. As Joe mentioned, we went back and forth with the applicant for a few iterations, and they've resolved most of the outstanding issues. Items left really are administrative in nature at this point. Land development comments left. If you're looking at review number 3, there were 2 there. There was one relative to a planning module. They sent some information over on Friday that resolved that comment. So the only land development comment left is to enter into an agreement with the borough. The developer's agreement that sets the parameters for the development itself, talks about bonding, that sort of thing. Typically a post-approval thing that the borough solicitor will work on with the applicant's legal counsel. Stormwater perspective, they have addressed the technical comments. 2 comments left there are approval of an NPDS permit. That's by the Conservation District, so a third-party approval. It would be appropriate that be a condition of approval since it's a third-party item. And then there is a stormwater O&M agreement that will be completed in conjunction with the developer's agreement. Remainder of the technical comments have been addressed. It's all in your packet, but you may have the first few letters as well. You'll see there were a number of comments that the applicant addressed, revised plans, submitted updated reports. So really just down to those 3 things: developer's agreement, E&S approval, and O&M agreement. Beyond that, happy to answer any questions that Planning Commission may have with me, this review, or our previous reviews.
and I think you answered it, was in that piece of property, there's a lot of utilities, and that's always been a challenge back there. If that's been resolved, that's the one question I have.
Yeah, so they've showed the easements on the plan. There are a couple of sewer lines that come through the property. If I recall correctly, there's a gas line. They've done what they can to avoid encroachment into those easements and fit their building and property line without disrupting.
Justine, you have anything?
Yeah, I have a question, because the last letter I'm looking at is from February 12th, all right? And that's when a lot of these things were pending. Now, I think that you covered those pending ones, but my question is in regards to the stormwater management on the February 12th letter that said, item number 2, the applicant should contact the borough solicitor regarding the agreement for signing and recording an operation and maintenance agreement covering all stormwater control facilities.
Yes.
Okay? My question is to you, so what happens if that particular building or business is sold? Does the requirement grandfather in when that unit is sold?
Yeah, so actually that's the punchline of the agreement, really. I mean, in decades past, people built these BMPs, detention basins, whatever they were, and people forgot about them, they went into disarray. This agreement that Solicitor McDermott will coordinate with the applicant actually gets recorded with the property. So there's a property transfer, it's there, it's at the recorder's office, or even beyond a property transfer. If somebody needs to find it in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, it's on the filing cabinet somewhere, it's at the recorder's office, it's there. And it ties that responsibility to maintain the BMP, the pond, to the current property owner. So it would go to their successors, I guess is the short answer.
Okay, good. That's all.
Okay,
Do we want to add anything in here about trees?
does anybody from Halaruth wanna? Is it Nick?
I've been dealing with Nick. Nick is the design
Nick, do
engineer.
you have any comments?
Hi guys, can you hear me all right? I'm sure this actually works. I do not have anything like Sean mentioned. We worked with him, getting everything addressed. We have a couple administrative things to clean up with that solicitor. The MPS permit is currently with Allegheny County in review. Hopefully to hear back from them. I don't want to put time on, but hopefully soon, because we submitted it about a month or so back, so should hear back from them soon. Granted approval, we'll obviously send that over to Sean and Jill to get that all squared away on that end. Other than that, if you guys have anything for me, or Tom is also on the call, he's P for engineering direct. He can also help and chime in at any time.
Hello, everybody. I'm actually calling from London, so it's a little after midnight. I tagged along with my wife for a work trip on her end, so I'm pretty tired. Nice to see everybody.
Do you have any kind of landscape plan to go with this, or, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of trees along the roads and on some of the other adjacent properties, and that particular parcel is kind of pretty bare, and just kind of curious if there's any plans to add any trees or anything.
Well, the short answer is no, and primarily the reason was with all the easements, the sewer, gas, and such, and then obviously the limited amount of property the owner had to currently work with to fit his needs to develop that last lot out there. Really, we kind of left it up for the detention pond as really, I hate to say it, really the last remaining green space, which in turn kind of left us short of any beautification from a landscaping standpoint. If there's any suggestions, we would love to hear, what your kind of thoughts are on that, but from a real estate standpoint, a developable area, we're kind of limited on kind of what we have to work with. So that's kind of the short answer, we do not have any landscaping, and apologize for that, but it was kind of a tight site, kind of a difficult site to, get everything needed in there with the constraints of all the easements.
All right. Anybody else got any questions? Okay. I would entertain a motion, based on, pending, issues that they be resolved, this be approved based on the resolution of the pending issues.
I'll make a motion as long as those pending items are within what we asked for.
There's three conditions.
Right.
It's really essentially the securing the NPDES permits in the County Conservation District, and securing and executing the developers agreement and the O&M agreement that Sean Landy covered.
Okay. Pending those resolutions, okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passed. Okay.
Welcome to Bridgeville.
Thank you very much, have a good evening.
You too.
Yes.
Get some
Cheers.
sleep.
Have a beer.
Okay, old business. 2024 comprehensive plan. Consider action to approve the plan as revised and recommend to the Bridgeville Council to schedule a public hearing for their consideration to adopt the comprehensive plan. My point is that, this is an opportunity. The comprehensive plan is a planning tool, something to give us some guidance, but both the planning commission and the council have leeway to, make decisions and further things along or not do some of these things, depending on how, what the typical climate of the community is at the time. And that's going to change over the next decades, like it has over the past decades. So I would welcome some comments here.
I agree with you. I mean, it's not a cement plan where it has to be written, that's the law of the land. It's a guide, it's a roadmap, and it can be changed. If you look at if you read the old comprehensive plan, there's ideas on there that are definitely antiquated. And you look at it and you say, well, that was something that was in vogue, so to speak, back then, and now it's not. So you can change. You can look at stuff and say, all right, there's a shift in, the demographic, or a shift in, the way consumers shop, or, and I think that's the whole idea of what we've been working on for the last 2 years.
Well, that and the recently completed active transportation plan helps guide us.
Yep.
When I first got on planning was when, I think a year into it, we started reviewing that 2005
Yep.
comp plan.
Mhm.
And the amount of things that we didn't do
Oh, man.
far outweighed the things that we actually didn't do. All right, so
Because of choice or money?
Probably both.
probably in a way lack of responsibility of people that were supposed to be doing, checking on things. And that's why when you look at the comp plan, there's ideas that we should follow, and quarterly reviews of the items that we're trying to move forward, right?
Absolutely.
So, with the things that we've placed in here, it's something that everybody hopes that we can move forward to some extent, perhaps not 100% completely as it's stated in the comp plan, but at least we have a roadmap so that we can move forward. So, it's,
Well, and, you know, one of the things that we've done so far with the active transportation plan and some of the projects is we do quarterly reviews of kind of outstanding projects and where we're at with things. And, you know, I think we need to and we will, you know, follow through with this. I mean, Joe's been very good about prompting us with some of this stuff, so. So, go ahead.
I mean, and the other thing is too, is that through all the steering committee meetings that we had, as well as all the public meetings that we had, and everything that we offered to both the businesses and the residents of the community, and the 5 things that we have in this are the things that were requested by the residents. I mean, time and time again, either surveys or in-house or talking to people. Those were the things that mattered to them.
That's just something that always came bubbling to the top.
Right, right. And I mean, in all reality, I think it could have been swayed, all right? It's easy to sometimes sway people's opinions into a certain cubbyhole, but I don't think that any of that was done. I mean, it was a fair and open conversation with our residents.
And I think that's the whole idea, is when you want people to come, you want to hear, you're looking for an opposing idea, you know, to see if maybe you're off base.
Right.
And the majority, I mean, obviously there's different ideas out there.
Right.
You know, the majority of the people that come, those are, you know, telling us, we're hearing the same story.
Bob, real quick.
Yeah, I just want to mention 2 things. I think that having your most extensive dream about how to solve the traffic congestion problem in Bridgeville, I think it should be in the comprehensive plan, because when you go, or when Joe goes to that federal, state, and county and asks them for $15 million to build it, if it's part of the comprehensive plan, you have a much better chance of getting the money. Let me give you an example. Years ago, you know that bridge down by the Presbyterian Church? PennDOT wanted to widen that by 1 lane, but Bridgeville's comprehensive plan said that that section of Washington Avenue from the post office down across the bridge was to be 4 lanes wide, and PennDOT complied with that aspect of the comprehensive plan. So that's an important aspect of this.
But I think that it is addressed in there. I mean, there is a related finding in here saying that we recognize that we need to improve traffic flow. All right?
Do you have any option? You should.
Well,
make the,
I mean, that's
make the
something-
two-way couple an option. I mean, at least include the idea of it being in the plan.
Okay, thank you for sharing, Bob.
That's right. Thank you for letting me comment.
I'd entertain a motion do we want to pass this along to council?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, yes.
Okay. And your motion is?
So pass
I don't
the,
have a negative thought on that at all, but I guess, let me just ask you really quickly, pass it on to council because we feel like it's done?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, if you get,
Yeah.
if
No,
you,
that's,
I mean, basically what would happen now is we make a recommendation to council, they schedule a public hearing, they have a public hearing, and then they either make recommendations that something gets changed in the plan or it gets adopted.
I'm just speaking from asking that question, I think, really from a million years of business. You plan to be Jesus out of it, but what you have to do is execute.
Right.
If we're planning our little hearts out here, the thing that I think we, the borough of Bridgeville, needs to focus on is execution. Because it's really easy to plan.
Yeah.
And it's way harder to execute.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, I know our job here, by definition, not the, yes, we are not the execution. But it would be, I think, important for all of us to understand what that process is from here
Mhm.
and where the execution falls. I know a lot of it's gonna fall on Joe, but I've got to believe that there's other folks that it should or could or would fall on. But I would kind of like to see some, this is a lot of paper. I've leafed through this 2 or 3 times and just gone, okay, this is a lot of paper. Just like a sheet to
Oh, trust me, there'll be
Yeah,
sheets.
yeah.
the execution plan and
Yeah.
who's the executor would be good.
That's kind of like what we did with the active transportation plan. We came up with a 2 or 3 page, we boiled it down to, you know,
Short-term,
yeah,
long-term,
yeah.
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, but like, and the guy, and that, again, speaking as a woman, we always used to write the guy, whoever the guy is, male, female, old,
Yeah.
young, who's the guy,
Well,
or guys.
it's council, it's the borough manager, it's planning commission. So, you know, we start things up the hill and, you know,
We don't want to be Sisyphus, though. Yeah, okay, just checking.
got it, okay. So I got a motion, did I get a second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor of passing this on to the Borough Council to schedule a public hearing and consideration to adopt a comprehensive plan, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay.
You know, appreciate the work you guys are putting in. We shouldn't be afraid of this because of some negative comments. There's been a lot of work that has gone into this from you guys, from a lot of people at steering committee. So I appreciate the work that you guys have done, and I look forward to what we do with this. So.
And just to add to that comment, we shouldn't collect dust on it. So we should be opening it often, and it should be all, both groups, so totally agree with you.
Well, and maybe, maybe planning commission and council both have subcommittees and get together on a semi-annual basis or quarterly basis and just kind of kick some of this stuff around. I don't know what the answer is, but I'm just tossing that out there as a possibility.
I mean, the good thing is we have the active transportation plan that sort of led the way, so that we now know what we can accomplish, and especially with doing smaller things that make big impressions. And then big, you know, because we do have flooding to come up. Flooding's going to come up again this year, so anyway, we'll have a lot of work. That's okay.
Justine, you can be a committee of one. All by yourself.
Okay. Moving on here. Active transportation plan implementation quarterly discussion. Can you kind of help walk us through this, Joe?
Yeah, what you have in your packet is a spreadsheet that Fitzy was alluding to that we put together for just for easy conversation, the new comp plan. What you have here, the projects that are in green are completed. Yellow means it's in development, so that we're kind of at a stall point where we get to the next step. And then white has yet to be addressed. I'm not going to go into detail what we completed, because it's pretty straightforward from last year's conversations. But some projects, I can give you an update on where they are, the ones that are in yellow, that are moving along, and where we're at with that. The first one that's in the pipeline that we're waiting on the next step is the Greg Avenue steps. We have a budget, we have a plan put together, a conceptual engineering drawing. We're submitting grant applications, and there's a couple still pending on that application. So it's kind of just sitting until we get funding.
Would that be lit? Would there be lights on the sidewalk or on the steps?
It wasn't on that plan, I don't remember, but that's something that could be done. That'd be a simple street light.
Yeah, I mean, I just know what some of the complaints are at steps, and I think lighting would be nice.
Well, you're stepping through a forest,
Yes.
so
Very true.
Sorry to interrupt, but is this the steps that have been blocked off for a while, right at the top there.
Yeah, going from,
So how's that work right now? Where is that? Like, I know Joe just said there's bids out, or we're looking for grant money for that.
No, so here's the rundown on the Greg Avenue steps. It started out where it was something where it was gonna be manageable to do pre-COVID, pre-cost escalating. And then the economy went upside down, and then the price of the project ballooned over what you could do without going out to bid. And then once you went out to bid, prevailing wage and those requirements came in, so this cost just ballooned to what it is. So we realized, hey, this is gonna be a project that we're gonna need to get grant money to do. The engineer made a very nice plan for the project that's more than just the steps. It was connecting a sidewalk all the way down to connect to the bottom of Laurel Street, because it ends and there's like a grassy lawn there. And then he added a bicycle runnel to it, so essentially you can walk the steps and put your bike in a trough next to the steps and take your bike up and down the steps. So it came out to be, engineering numbers, this isn't bid numbers, $300,000. So we're in the process of applying for a number of active transportation grants, multimodal grants for the project. So just on the sheer expensiveness of the project, it's kind of hard to sell. So it's going to take me a while to finally get it over the mountain. But I'm confident that in time, we'll get money for it. But it's going to take a number of times throwing it up there. So that's kind of where we're at with it. Now, getting into the details of like the minutia, like a street light, and that's perfect, like things to come back before planning commission once we got moving. That's something we can easily do.
excited, there's, the comments that I've heard from, family dinners.
Your uncle. Say your uncle.
There's nefarious activities that go on in the steps.
Yeah, and there was some good suggestions, once the neighborhood started to know that the borough took the desire to reinvest in the steps, because they've been let go for ages. Some residents up there had some good suggestions, such as, hey, the current steps currently go up and just go right to the street. Why don't we just connect it into the sidewalk that goes on Greg Avenue? So there is some good comments coming up.
What time of day are the nefarious activities? Just because we walk up and down there.
At night time, that's when people act up.
At night? Well, I'm so.
That's why the lights come.
Good.
Yeah, that's what I say, stay away from fire.
There's nefarious people in the parks at night too.
There's nefarious people.
You're like there.
Nefarious person,
And
So
plus too, can't you get lights, down lights that won't bother the neighborhood?
Correct. Yeah, there's all kinds of LED adjustments and stuff like that.
You could do
can
anything
actually put them in the sidewalk.
to that would be a borough obligation, before you can get it so it's West Penn, like a street light. So like, it's just whenever you want.
Something nice.
Yeah, it's,
We'll discuss
it can be done.
When the time comes, we can discuss.
The next project that's in the pipeline is, the plan shows completing the sidewalks on Chartier Street. As we all know, we've been through that conversation, that's a 2025 project, and funding has been in place through the Borough Council's capital project budget to match that PennDOT project.
It is still a 2025 project?
Yes, it was supposed to be 2024, but it appears now that it will be 2025. There's an extensive utility relocation that has to be done on Chartier Street that's kicking in another year.
Okay.
So going over just the ones that are in the pipeline again, the next one was finishing the walk and trail at the park, and then finding a way to make a connection up through the Winfield Pines. We've been discussing that. Here was essentially complete the walk and trail. There was another project where we got a formal plan put together, we got an estimate for it, and we're applying for grants. The next one is the Washington Avenue Gateway. This is kind of similar to what Mr. de Blasio was talking about in his comments he gave to you on the comp plan, was essentially...
Joe, I'm sorry. Washington Avenue Gateway, you say it's the next one, is it like 5 later, or?
No, next page, next yellow, we're following yellow. Whites aren't in development yet. I'm just giving you an update on what's
Gotcha.
in development, and then we can come back and say, okay, really, if you had to think about it, the quarterly discussion is this. The plan, because there's a lot of new people here. The quarterly discussion is the plan identified 20 projects. We've been making it very formal where every quarter we do a review of all the projects within the active transportation plan. And some projects require budgeting, some require extensive multi-agency cooperation. We send up a recommendation to the Borough Council saying, all right, this next project on the list is something that we think we should discuss further and get into the details of, hey, it should be street lighting, it should be something that should be put into the budget, it should be something where, hey, this is an example, we need to sit down with Upper St. Clair to advance that. So that's kind of like where these quarterly discussions go. So I'm just going to give an update on the ones that right now that are in development, and then I'll even go over the ones that were completed last year just as like for historical context. But continue on which the next project that's in the pipeline that we're advancing and got some ways to go is the Washington Avenue Gateway. That was essentially the yellow hashed out area on Washington Avenue in front of Crafty Jackalope and LaBelle Levine, making that a pedestrian island that would kind of give you a safe haven crossing the street and act as a traffic calming device. That's within the active transportation plan. I think it's even part of the comp plan. We got an estimate from TPD, that was the traffic engineering firm that did the active transportation plan. We submitted a grant application back in the fall to the state that incorporated the Gregg Avenue steps and this Washington Avenue project as one. So we have a number, we have a concept plan. Now it's the time to just get funding support for it. And then the last project that is in the pipeline is the Bank Street, Lesnett, Chartiers, Mayview roundabout project. That was a project that was identified in the active transportation plan. Planning Commission, maybe middle of last year at one of these meetings, discussed that, and that should be something that we need to start getting up on the conveyor belt and seeing where that can go. And you guys made a motion to request Borough Council to work multi-municipally with Upper St. Clair officials and to call upon PennDOT to advance this project. So Borough Council then passed a similar action where they agreed to work with Upper St. Clair and PennDOT to advance that. We had meetings with Upper St. Clair officials to get their support. They were supportive of the project because the completion of the McLaughlin Run Roundabout timed out very well, and they saw the successes that the McLaughlin Run Roundabout had that sparked interest with them for the one at the top of the hill here in Bridgeville that straddles both towns. The two towns went to PennDOT. There's a new district executive here at PennDOT. He knew of the project. They submitted this project to the SPC in attempts to get SPC funding to further advance this. Right now it's kind of at the table with the SPC, and we're now trying to get legislators involved with the project so that the more state reps and state senators can be door knocking to the PennDOT and SPC, they can get it up on the funding levels. So we had a meeting last month. The council president, myself, the mayor, met with State Representative Kulik, and we gave her a tour of the intersection, showed her what we did, show her the planning that's been done, including the planning that was done last year by the Pitt students that came here and did that engineering for us. Included the planning from the active transportation plan, all the dialogues that we had with the PennDOT officials. There's been similar tours done by Representative Mihalik and Representative Miller, so we have 3 state representatives that are at the table that have interest and now have an understanding of why that intersection is so imperative with the odd alignment of the 2 roads. It was kind of unique. Mr. Verducci can add to this, is that we had a meeting with Representative Kulik. She understood our seriousness until we took her up there and took her through the intersection, and then she really goes, okay, you got to do something. First it was just roundabouts are cool, and that's why you kind of want it. And we're like, no. And once we did a tour, it sold it. At least I would say so.
I kept hitting the brake
So that was kind of the projects we have in the pipeline. So really the next step with this is just to garner political support, garner PennDOT's involvement to get it more SPC involvement.
So I have 2 things. After you met with Upper St. Clair and you all went to PennDOT and requested an investigation, and PennDOT had already applied or already,
Yes.
okay,
They were gonna-
unbeknownst to us.
Correct.
Okay, so their first step was lateral to our step, is that correct?
Correct. It's kind of unique where all 4 roads are state roads. So it isn't such as PennDOT was doing something in a vacuum. They ultimately have jurisdiction over it.
Right.
All 4 roads are state roads.
But that was already in their
Correct.
headlights.
Yes,
Okay.
and that's wonderful because the McLaughlin roundabout was 100%
Funded.
by the state.
Right.
So we wanted to have a similar project up here.
Right, and then secondly, when you mentioned the pit drawings, I will say that when we involved the pit group, it was more to educate ourselves in regards to what was included or what knowledge we needed to know about roundabouts. So that was just a baseline. And I'm sure that they're gonna be doing their own drawings so that they're
Yes,
gonna
that is
follow the
just-
pit drawings.
Correct. It was essentially to show that the borough took the project serious enough to give it time on multiple municipal meeting agendas, had feedback from the public officials on what the concerns and the issues were. There was analysis done with the pit, so the pit stop can't be undervalued. There was analysis done on crash reporting data, traffic counts at certain times. So there was a lot of good to that study, and that study was done led by Mark Magalotti, who's a very highly respected traffic engineer. The fellow, the professor there, aside from Dr. Euler, who had a nice neighborhood touch, but Mark Magalotti was the traffic engineer for many of the municipalities around here. So well respected. So it's a very good tool. And then just to go over some of the projects that were done, the active transportation plan, similar to the comp plan, was a 1.5-year planning project. We were able to get grant money from the county. This is just for historical context. We were able to get grant money from the county to help us develop this plan. We were kind of ahead of the curve in the region doing an active
Like I said, you
transportation.
see news stories now. Oh,
Right.
this town got an active, I'm like, yeah, look at that.
And it was adopted in June of 2022, and we started every quarter now having a discussion of, hey, these are the projects in here, and what can we do next? And we've been starting with a lot of the low-hanging fruit and going from there. Last year, the plan called out for additional street lighting on Murray Avenue. We did that. It called for additional street lighting on Coolidge, at Sarah and Forbes. We did that. It called for the pedestrian walking trail to reconnect Romano Drive to McLaughlin Park. That was completed. And then one of the bigger picture projects that came out of this was the bump outs that are going to be constructed on Bank Street. And that's on schedule to be completed this year. And that's a $100,000 project that the borough will have to dedicate funding for. And it will be done later this year at the intersection of Winfield and then at Gregg Avenue. So there's a lot of projects in here. For the short time that we've had it, we've actually advanced. So now I guess it comes down to the projects that aren't in any type of action. Which ones do we want to get off the ground now? Knowing what's in the pipeline, it's kind of a good point now to pick off a good project, start to flush out any details and concerns you may have with it, and then it could be a recommendation for one, implementation, or a recommendation for additional planning, or a recommendation that, hey, it gets funded. Like if you look at, just for easy conversation, the bottom of page 1, the Hickman Street and Chest Street, recommendations that they become all stop, put in a bump out, improve crosswalks. That's something that could be easily kicked over as a recommendation. Like that, just for sake of conversation's sake. Like that's where I think the ship is headed. So, that's
Joe,
everything from my side.
is
Now
the-
the conversation yours.
The Bridgeville Library pedestrian bridge, is that a pipe dream?
I would say anything that has $4 signs is a pipe dream. But I wouldn't say it's not probable, because if you look at the back page, 2 things that have $4 signs, one's being built and one's in a pipeline. So
That's the only one left with $4 signs. Oh, you said anything with $4 signs in the pipe dream, there's 3 of them, and 2 are being done.
Yeah, but, you know, with that being said, I mean, there's considerable grant money and funding, so, yeah, no, I just,
Yeah, I know that.
it's just the pedestrian bridge, that'll be a discussion for another time,
Yep,
I think.
probably.
There's a lot of controversy about that.
There's controversy around it? I mean, aside from the cost, there's people who don't think that's a good idea?
Well, I thought you weren't totally on board with that.
That thing called a dollar sign, if there were things that we could do other than that, because my opinion was you can just cut down some of those trees and shit, pardon my French, and you can see across the railroad tracks, but be able to walk over there would be really, I think, a thing that would connect a couple of different corridors, cultural and business specifically.
You have a question, comment?
Well, personally, I think that should be, this wasn't my comment though, that should be more like a Vegas elevator situation, so it takes up less space. But Joe, have you talked to anybody at the land trust? I mean, do you think they're interested in that property?
It's been a while since I talked to the land trust, but land trust was really interested. This is the Lynch's Pond area that connects Chartiers Park up to the nature center. There was interest, or there is interest from them to acquire that. However, there's a piece of private property in between, and that private property owner wouldn't sell to the land trust. And the land trust actually reached out to that property owner multiple times with no success.
So I saw on the real estate listing that it's actually like 3 parcels in there. You know.
Yeah, there's one parcel that's owned by Upper St. Clair Township.
Okay.
There's the private property, I don't know the top of my head. And then,
Is the private property for sale?
Yep.
oh,
It's
There's a
21,
real estate
it's
sign.
21 acres
Mhm.
for sale, but it's like 3 parcels, but that are combined for sale in there right now. I just don't know what their
yeah, I don't know.
budget was.
I had no idea.
They
Yeah.
just put a sign up over the weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
it's-
if they know.
It's,
I didn't know, you know.
Yeah, it's listed for 1.5 thousand.
Check.
You are gonna be all over that, huh?
I
can do that.
I have a question.
Wait, hold on.
Do you have, like,
buy
a
a
link
Powerball
to that?
ticket. I can send you a link to
If
the
you send me a
listing.
link,
Yeah,
and then I'll reach out to the fellow at
Yeah. Yeah, it's,
Allegheny Land Trust.
I think it's been listed since January 4th.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure
I'm not-
Hathaway has the listing.
But it was a rather peculiar lot where it was kind of like landlocked.
Well, there, I mean, yeah, where would you put a road if somebody tried to build there? And, yeah, I mean, they're advertising it like, oh, it's got 3 bodies of water. Yeah, but all combined at one point or another when it rains, so I don't know where'd you put a house in that place.
Justine?
Joe, when we're talking about Hickman Street and Chest Street, as well as Station Street and Chest, and I see in both of those, well, they're all the same, but can we do something, can we potentially work this year on developing something to do an improvement of the high visibility crosswalks? Can we extract that and start working on high visibility crosswalks?
What do you mean by high visibility crosswalk?
A crosswalk that's painted, and I know that PennDOT has limitations, but they also have some accepted colors. But something that would make the crosswalk stand out other than white lines, white hash marks. You drive down the road and all you see is, white lines, and people stop paying attention to them. Some of them are the VASCAR lines, some of them are crosswalk lines, some of them, I'm just thinking that if we do something to create a higher visibility for the crosswalks, to make them stand out. I've done a bunch of traveling here in the last year or so, and been to places in Michigan, Massachusetts, and they all have, there's a lot of towns along the way that have their own crosswalks, and some of them are bright green, which makes it stand out. Others, you know, have fancy designs and that type of thing. I'm just thinking, you know, we're just thinking about something that's gonna stand out, you know, maybe have some reflective, component to make it stand out at night, you know, kinda like the yellow lines, something like that. Is there something, can we
We
do
can look
something?
into it.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
know the
PennDOT
signage can be improved.
PennDOT does have suggestions or guidance.
We've had that before us,
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, it won't cost that much, right? If PennDOT's guiding us which way we have to do it,
Yeah, I don't know.
so,
It's something we look at. I'll come back with, what we had before.
Okay. I don't know what you know, I know that we had the discussion before, and I don't know.
I don't remember.
Got dropped or cost too much or.
Would any of the, or any
Or,
of the
excuse
side,
me, worst case, similar to what we did recently with, it was more of a borough council action, but we reached out to PennDOT through their LTAP engineers, and they came in and provided us pro bono traffic engineering. That could be an LTAP request of, hey, these are the couple of crosswalks we have, we want to improve the visibility. That way, it isn't us looking through PennDOT manuals and
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
running against the wind. Here, at least an LTAP engineer who kind of is like speaking the same language that the PennDOT guy is going to approve, would deliver. So
And they
maybe
used Pinoni, did they?
there they did, yeah. So
And they
maybe
used Pinoni, did they?
there they did, yeah. And Pinoni was a well-respected traffic engineer.
Okay.
And we even considered Pinoni for, I think, a comp plan or something.
Right, right, we interviewed them, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's not a bad idea, is that like if we had to go and, let's just say, if we had to throw two intersections at him, I would do one on a state road, one on a local road, and then whatever they approve on the either or, we can duplicate. So if you're okay with it, it don't cost anything, I'll reach out to LTAP.
That'd be great. That would be great, thank you.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. It's all about trying to, you know, make Bridgeville better. We're all headed in the same direction, so.
And then I can reference this plan that when I go to LTAP saying, hey, we want high visibility, this is what we want. So I'll reference that.
In a previous conversation about this, we had talked about cities. The one that I remember vividly, just because I talked to this cat, was Austin, Texas, which is obviously not apples to apples, but cities that do this crosswalk stuff, not with yellow, red, green, or whatever stripes, but with artwork. Is that something that would even be considered for what we want to do?
On a borough street only.
Yeah.
Right.
So if you want to do it like Railroad Street, Baldwin Street, any of the side streets, but
If you go down to Pittsburgh, there's certain neighborhoods of Pittsburgh that do that.
yeah, we definitely could do it on a municipal street.
Okay.
There's a question in the back of the room.
I'm just assuming that's all the reflective glass beads that PennDOT's using. That's what they use on airfields and stuff like that for increased reflectiveness and lumen counts and stuff like that, I guess we're talking about. Yeah, I think Joe's spot on, you know, go through PennDOT. They live with the glass bead companies and there is a way, you know, to accentuate that, so. Yeah, like Joe said, PennDOT speaks that, so.
Yeah.
Joe's right there on it.
Okay. Do we want to talk about this? I mean, it's getting late. Do we want to table
No, let's do quickly.
the discussion for upcoming projects out of the active transportation plan?
Well, I think I'd rather get all this stuff out.
These crosswalks are throughout this.
Okay.
So even if we get that moving, that knocks off a considerable amount of
Okay. Well,
intersections.
let's go with
Table
that.
that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because like, we're gonna be at the point where, these projects cost a lot of money, capital project funds are limited, so you gotta eat the apple in small bites.
Sorry. Thank you, Joe. Comprehensive plan, implementation, projects and development. McLaughlin Run Park Meadow Project. Quick update, Joe?
Yeah, we heard back from DCNR, the project is on track to definitely be done this year. It's looking, it won't be spring, it's looking like summer. However, I know our last concern was trying to get the knotweed under control. The lady at DCNR gave me a number of, several contractors that do that knotweed mitigation work, because you really don't totally eradicate it, but you can mitigate it so that it's not overtaking the park. I reached out to two companies, came down, looked at them, waiting for quotes. She came back and said that we have any objections if they did the first year's treatment of knotweed in this plan. However, if we would just have our guys go in there and work with their contractors, cutting it down from the start level. That's a little bit gift horse from the mouth. So it seems to be that that was a decent trade-off for getting the project kicked a season. But it definitely looks like it's moving forward. And Mike asked me this week about getting the budget put together or quotes in place for the rotary signs to get them ordered. Brandy from Mackin came back today with, hey, this is the sign we thought should be there. It was nice. The first time when we were told a budget for signage, I didn't know what to think, you know. But what they actually show is kind of like what you see when you walk around the city and you see those, or even a state park, you know, like the kiosk style signs that are on, yeah, and it has an explanation. And she recommended maybe 3 of them that would go into kind of like, what is the meadow, what does the stormwater benefits do, what are these seeds, how do these, what's the natural meadow work? So basically, all the intricacies of what you have here and how it has a greater purpose. So she gave me a company that does it, so I can reach out to them for a quote. I think now is we're going to have to, if you could help me, come up with a narrative for what we want on these. Because
I mean, I think explaining, I like the idea of, number one, explaining the project why it's there. And then, identifying the floral and the plant life that we're using, why it's important, why it's going to stay there. And maybe a little bit of like a little history of, hey, this is a flood project, but why do we have a flood project?
There's quite a few signs like that down in Chartiers Park when you cross over into the Upper St. Clair side, I think. I don't know that there's any on the Bridgeville side, but it's with the part that the Allegheny Land Trust did.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there's gotta be at least 3 or 4, maybe even a half a dozen of them down there, and they're really nice
Yeah.
because they have a little bit of a, like a picture, or not a picture, like a painting of ducks or birds or, or frogs or whatever it is that they're talking about. And they're well done, and they're very easily readable in terms of the language used and the font and everything. We have some very good templates for what we're talking about here, just in that part alone. I know it's over the Bridgeville line, but still, it's right.
Sorry.
I still think of that as Bridgeville's. Okay.
You got a comment, question?
Yeah, you're not actually like drafting those.
like, what do you want on the sign?
Right. Well, the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy should be able to help us too.
To be honest with you, DCNR,
Right.
The woman who's been a godsend, really.
Yeah.
Is it? And I think just so like, I think just for like Jason and Shane, what the Meadow project, it came out of the comp plan, was a discussion of what do we do with the field, how that you really can't use it because it takes water more than you ever thought it would. So the plan was put together through public input to make it into a meadow so that it would have passive walkways cut through and kind of act as a gateway into the town. The original plan had an estimate cost like $45,000 if we did it ourselves. Just a game of telephone, we reached out to the Western Pennsylvania Conservancy to help plant it. They couldn't, but they knew a lady at the state, and the state had a program that turned lawns into meadows. And we got in a pipeline where they were doing all the plantings, following our plan. And they had some kind of technical suggestions, which were for the betterment of like a riparian buffer and stuff. And then working with the Rotary Club and the Lions Club, and the Lions Club came to the table to fund the benches for the project that we were gonna have to take for. And then the Rotary kind of picked up where the Lions left off and is paying for all the signage. And it's on track to be 100% funded by the three agencies. We'll just have to take care of the knotweed and get it done. It worked out to be a really nice project. It should be, this time next year, it should be a nice asset to the borough.
Yeah.
And add to that gateway.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And gives a purpose to that kind of utilitarian space right now.
We could fix up the concession stand and like pass seats out or something at Grand Opening.
Well, I think we should have we should have the kids up to make seed balls, and then they can throw it in the.
You can't put them in the meadow. The meadow's planned.
Okay, moving on. Anything else, Joe?
No, that's
Okay.
it.
Downtown zoning district amendment, RFP has been advertised, proposals are due May 9th, 2024. Anything to add with that?
No, it's just, it's been advertised, it's posted on the borough website, and then I had a nice email contact for all the planning firms in the state that I got from the state planning folks when we did the comp plan, so I just blitzed it to all of them. So the word's out there with the companies that do the work.
Super. Shade trees, spring 2024, tree vitalize application has been awarded, 17 trees for Cook School Park. Tentative planning date is Saturday, March 30th. I'm presuming we're gonna be looking for volunteers and stuff for that?
Yes, like that's the next thing. So, as you remember, I talked to you guys that we kind of put our toe in the water when we did the tree planting down Baldwin Street, and that really was a success. Not so much success for the lot, but it was like a community success. We got all the people there, and it was a nice day.
Took longer to explain the project than it did.
Correct.
Except for that one hole.
So, we went back with another application to them, knowing that we don't have a shade tree commission. They said, you can apply one time. Okay. And, you could apply for 25 trees, and we had this list that we bounced around there. And then they did a site visit town. So Justine and I took the tree, the arborist from Tree Pittsburgh around and showed him all the sites. And all of our sites were doable. He said, well, I have limited funding and you're new, but we'll see what we can do. So he came back and he had a very nice concept for Cook School Park. He saw the investment that the borough was doing with the new playground and the new basketball court. And we said, okay, we just want to finish the trees here just so that this is like the cherry on top. And they loved it. And he was like just even shooting an idea to him, and he ran with it. Like, oh, let's put some evergreens over here so it acts as like a block. Or let's put mature trees on this side so it shades the playground. And then let's plant, what was it, like red buds along Cook School Road so that when you're coming up Cook School kind of from your house, it's tree lined the entire way. And it was like a good friendship we made here because there's the two trees, I forget what the type they are, that are kind of, they're dying.
Yeah,
as you pointed out. And it worked out well where if I have them cut down before this event, they'll put in their scope to pay for the stump grinding. So it worked out. It was good. So as you've seen, the tree arborist put together a nice plan that tree lines Cook School Road, finishes off the side here, puts a couple trees around the playground, and then the 3 trees over by the front side of Cook School Road is kind of just like an evergreen wall to finish off the park. So they're very excited about the project because it's a park with a bathroom, with a picnic shelter, it's all one spot, easy logistical. I think the only 3 things that I have is that, one, we need a call for volunteers, and they're gonna get a website up just like we did for down on Baldwin Street. So it'd be the same exact thing, and that worked out well. And they'll help us put out outside of Bridgeville to get the word out. My only concern was that Saturday the 30th is the day before Easter. Is that gonna adversely affect it? And,
It's March.
yeah, Easter's, I
Early
think, April,
Jewish,
yeah,
isn't
April 1st or something, March 31st or something. It's the next day, so
Yeah.
the 31st. So Saturday the 30th, it being the day before Easter, is that the problem? She goes, I only have so many spring openings, it's either the 30th or the 23rd. And then the 23rd is the Easter egg hunt here. So it's like, I kind of feel
I
like,
think you'll be fine.
I think it'll be fine.
Well, you know, the thing of it is too, if what we did on Baldwin Street is duplicated at Cook School, really, do we need that many volunteers?
She says she would like to have 25 volunteers there
Well,
that
we
day.
have them all with the Bug family. Didn't you say you have family coming in
We're
from?
going out of town.
My kids are coming out of town also.
So 9 o'clock, we'll have donuts,
There you
and
go.
if it goes late, they said, can you please have lunch? And I'm thinking, we weren't even there, we weren't even.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10 o'clock in the morning.
But I think what we did down there, if we can duplicate this, it's easy.
I already, because you sent me the information, I meant to announce it at the Lions meeting
Good.
this week, so there was some interest there, so.
And I think, knowing that this is next month, and knowing that, hey, we're creating a nice partnership here, and they have an interest to keep supplying Bridgeville with this, and these are 17 mature trees, and we all know the price of a mature tree, and these are 12-foot, 15-foot trees, so you're talking $300-$400 a pop. This is big money. And if we want to keep this going, to keep funding like the right-of-ways and these borough lots, which we have easy locations for, it's time that Planning Commission starts flushing out a Shade Tree Commission recommendation to council.
For borough property.
Correct. Otherwise, this is done.
Yeah.
This is it, and thank you.
Well, good job, Joe.
It worked out great.
Thank you. Okay, Earth Day Spring Community Cleanup?
Hold on, the Earth Day's on Monday, the 22nd?
Yep.
So I was suggesting that we do it on the Saturday before,
420.
hold on, 23rd? Wait, hold on for a second. What did I say?
Monday is the 22nd, I don't think.
When did I say Earth Day was? The 23rd?
22nd.
22nd, so the 20th of April,
420.
April
So
20th,
Saturday, April 20th.
for Earth Day cleanup. Everybody okay with that? And then again, we'll do a call for volunteers, like last year. And then Shane, what was that website that you used for volunteers again?
Oh, like a sign up genius or something like that, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
It's pretty easy to do, Justine. I mean,
and it's free.
It's free, yes, that's for me, yep.
Okay.
And we'll work to have the borough volunteer calendar up by then.
Oh, okay, all right,
It's on the to-do list. We'll have it up.
okay, all right.
Okay, I got one other thing to add. You know, we've got the flow chart that we kind of go through quarterly for projects and that type of thing, and I know tonight's not the night to review it. But I was kind of looking through this, and there was one of the issues was trying to coordinate a discussion with council regarding the rental registration program. Is that something that we can at least start to get on the docket? Try and,
I don't know. I think, if I remember correctly, we left it where it went to them and council wanted to create a committee of a whole
Right.
kind of deal and have landlords, tenants, public safety officials, other municipalities at the table and discuss it, and that's kind of where it laid.
I was just kind of looking.
So it's been there, it's just a nudge if there's a desire to advance that committee of the whole.
And then nudge has to come from council.
Yes, that's who has it. Correct. The planning commission's job at the time is done.
So
We
who's
made it
Leroy?
right.
Leroy.
Yeah, that's an ancient expression, the person who's actually gonna do the getting that done.
Right over there.
You're pointing to the gentleman closer to the
Hey,
wall.
point this way too, Justin.
Are you Leroy?
No.
No, would like to know, all I would like to know who the Leroy is.
Okay, anything else? Going once, going twice? I'll take a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you.